What is up, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Flames. It is that time of year where we start seeing NHL award nominations. How has Chris Tanev exemplified what the Masterson Trophy means? A weekend recap, as well as a little preview for the rest of the week. All that on today's episode of Locked On Flames.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm your host, Jess Belmosto. Thanks for tuning into today's episode of Locked On Flames. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline, where the games begin. How are you today? I hope you're having a good Monday. I hope your Monday's going very well. A lot better than mine. If you hear the wind, I apologize. We're in the middle of like a wind storm right now, and my patio furniture keeps knocking over. So I apologize in advance, but thank you again for making Locked On Flames your first listen of the day. As always, you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. We're free 99 on YouTube as well. So Chris Tanev was nominated for the Bill Masterson Memorial Trophy by the Calgary Chapter of the Professional Hockey Writers Association, the PHWA. This annual award goes to the NHL player who best exemplifies quality of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. Now, a lot of times these are players who are coming back from injuries, who are dealing with some sort of hardship, and especially in the off season or late last season, and have spent the last year, overcoming it. And according to the Calgary chapter of the PHWA, they say Chris Tanev meets all the criteria of a Masterson Trophy nominee: perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to hockey. While Tanev had some tough luck with injuries during his stint in Vancouver, he spent like 10 years there. It's not a stint. He hasn't missed a single game in his 2 seasons with the Flames. That certainly doesn't mean that the durable, dependable defenseman isn't often playing through pain. Do I need to... I'm not going to do it. The 32-year-old is a mentor to his blue line partners, a respected leader in the locker room, and sort of an underrated player that you appreciate more and more when you see him in action every night. He is also a fearless shot blocker, consistently sacrificing his body to help his goaltender. Flames starter Jacob Markstrom showed his appreciation this season with a mask that includes a tribute to Tanev's one-of-a-kind hockey smile. Yeah, that's great. I'm very glad that they felt the need to include that he is often playing through pain and no one is looking into that. That's sacrificing your body. I do think that Chris Tanev has had an excellent time here in Calgary so far, and he has been a valuable addition to the locker room, to the blue line, to the organization as a whole. I think that it's so nice to see, someone who was very doubted coming into this organization kind of thrive. I think that him not missing any games in the last 2 years is huge. But if he's playing through pain, I'm going to ignore that. Okay, I'm going to ignore that he's playing through pain the same way that everyone else does and focus on what they see is great. Again, I think that he is a great player. I think that, every team obviously has to nominate someone, and I think that he's a great player. And I don't think that you can just nominate guys for laughs and whatnot. I think that Chris Tanev definitely has had his tough go of injuries, which is why he kind of had that weird reputation coming into Calgary and why people were nervous about signing him and for as long as they did. But I don't think that it's necessarily something we're clear of. I think that there are a lot of there's still a lot of time for things to potentially go wrong, but we are focusing on the positives, and congratulations to Chris Tanev on this nomination. I'm pulling up an article from Salim Valji, who writes for TSN and who has been a guest on this podcast. And I just kind of wanted to talk about this kind of the journey of a butterfly that is Chris Tanev. So he was cut from several hockey teams as he tried out in high school. He was frustrated and disheartened, and the best thing for him would be to walk away from sports for a few years. It just wasn't fun for me when you're 6 or 7 until you're 14 with the same people, and then all of a sudden your friends are making that next step and you're not able to play anymore or make a team. I relate to that. I think we can all relate to that if you grew up playing sports. But he spent 2 years packing meat at a grocery store in Toronto, and it's just, he was very small until like 10th grade. He was 5 feet tall, and then 2 years later, he went through a growth spurt. He's now 6'2", which is insane. And I'm very happy that he, took a step back, didn't quit entirely, allowed that growth spurt to hit. But oh my gosh. He says, my parents and my dad did a really good job of pushing me to go back and play. A lot of people over the years, I think, said he was crazy because he'd always go around the rinks telling people how good I was. But at the end of the day, he helped me a lot and pushed the right buttons and helped me get to where I needed to be. That's really sweet. I think, we always joke about players like only like thanking their mom, or like, who inspires you? What woman inspires you? My mom. But this is really sweet, and I think it is something that needs to, be shined upon here. I think that Calgary as a whole is a very family-oriented team. You see the way that Guy and Jane were out in Calgary. The Mangiapanis were in Calgary. The Kachucks were there, or they were on the road, and I think they went back. And then Chris Tanev really shining light on his family as well. I think it's really neat. So I'm very happy for that nomination. I think, it's not always going to be a nomination that you're like, oh, this guy's gonna win. But every chapter has to nominate someone, and Chris Tanev is a great example of why he was nominated for Calgary. I think it's pretty fair to say that he deserves it out of everyone, and you can't just nominate a guy just because you have to find that storyline if it's not very obvious. Coming up next, we are absolutely going to be talking about the other nominees and whatnot. We're going to talk about, some outliers, and then who I think will truly be, my top 3 candidates. But before we do that, we're going to talk about BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one spot for your sports development, league reviews, news, including this year's basketball playoffs, as well as Major League Baseball season. BetOnline is your continued source for all of your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn about the trends and actions. I bet on the Flames last week. When they got their booties handed to them by Vegas, I bet the over, and I won like $18 on a $5 bet, so I will take it. I'll probably be placing a bet for tomorrow's game as well. Head on over to betonline.net to figure out what bets you want to place. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you all so much for tuning into Locked On Flames. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto, or Instagram at Jess Belmosto. please be nice on social media. I am not really in the mood to deal with that. But okay, so every chapter has to nominate someone, right? And I think that is what a lot of people maybe don't, I don't want to say don't understand, but I think sometimes overlook. So I wanted to take a peek at, oh, you can see my layout. Hey, I'm still new trying to figure this out. But Ryan Getzlaf, Andrew Ladd, Jake DeBrusk, Kyle Okposo, Chris Tanev, Antti Ranta, Dylan Strome, Jack Johnson, Justin Danforth, Tyler Sagan, Mark Stahl, Chris Russell, Anthony Duclair, Blake Lizotte, Jared Spurgeon, Carey Price, and plenty more. Those are just only some of the names, right? So, you take a look at this list and you see players like Jake DeBrusk, Jack Eichel. I don't think Brent Burns has overcome anything quite like Kevin Hayes or Brian Boyle, for instance. Jake DeBrusk requesting a trade is not the same thing as Andre Kasha having concussion after concussion. Zdeno Chara being old is not the same as Carey Price. I think, again, you have to find different storylines in every chapter, and I am very intrigued as to why they chose Jack Eichel. I think Jack Eichel is fine, but players like Robin Leonard or Mark Stone even. But at the end of the day, I don't get to decide who these players are and who these winners are, or nominees are rather, but my picks do come down to a few people, and that would be Carey Price, and these aren't in any particular order, obviously, but Carey Price, Kevin Hayes, and Tarasenko. Obviously, Carey Price with the Canadiens was he had surgery, I believe, last year, and then he entered a program to deal with his mental health and potentially some other issues. And I think that for a player of his status, really for someone who's been around the league as long as he has, and to have to, lose the Stanley Cup and then sit out, right? That's going to take a toll on you. And I think that there were a lot of speculations in regards to him going to Seattle, and no one really understood what was going on for a little bit with Price, right? And then it comes out that he entered treatment and taken care of himself. I think struggling with mental health is a ginormous barrier, and I think it's a beautiful way to help destigmatize everything around mental health. I think it's just such a great way to humanize these athletes. And for Carey Price to be back is, it's poetic. I understand that the Canadiens aren't doing well this year. They've had a really tough year. It feels like just like last week, they were trying to chase win number 8 and 9 and get to double digits, but the season flew by. Carey Price is my true winner here. Kevin Hayes is another nominee, I guess a finalist for me. He has had multiple abdominal surgeries that have really impacted the time he's had to play this season, and it's been really unfortunate. An unfortunate loss for the Flyers, and then trying to figure everything else out. And then his first game back was against Calgary. And he scored a goal and pointed up to the sky. That's because he lost his brother Jimmy. And this is a very, easy pick as well, because not only is he facing adversities in hockey, he's facing adversities of losing his partner in crime. Like they're the Hayes brothers. Um, in Dorchester, in Boston, Oh, everyone knows Kevin Hayes. And I'm not talking about like Kevin Hayes, the Philadelphia Flyer. I'm talking about their father. Everyone knows their family, and the impact that they have had on the community is wonderful. So obviously, between his injuries and mourning the loss of his brother and continuing on with the season, he obviously gets a finalist vote from me. And then, Vladimir Tarasenko, this man. I think that we kind of have all forgotten that he was like demanding a trade. He went unprotected in the Seattle expansion draft. And I personally thought that he was going to sit out until he was traded. That didn't happen. And it's kind of good for St. Louis that he didn't happen, because I'm pretty sure he has 40 goals. Tarasenko was not happy with his medical treatment from the St. Louis Blues medical team. He felt like surgeries were potentially botched, and things have kind of his injuries have definitely impacted his play. And like they say in Chris Tanev's nomination, he has sacrificed his body for the sport. And I think it's important to remember that like we also have the same bodies. Like my tibia could shatter if a hockey puck hit it, like a slap shot, the same way that theirs can, right? So it's a nice nomination. It's very kind of the the St. Louis chapter, because, he has had adversity this season. And I would say there's more adversity there in terms of like Jake DeBrusk's nomination. I think there were other players on the Bruins that could have absolutely been nominated. I would say Charlie Coyle for his knee surgery and having, a little bit of a bounce back year. David Pastrnak as well. He unexpectedly lost his firstborn child, as well as having hip surgery. Now, obviously, you can't just like nominate someone for an award and be like, hey, like, sorry about the loss of your kid. Here's like this award, right? I think that that's kind of why they didn't move that. And I think that Charlie Coyle would have been a much better candidate. But as for the Flames, I really don't see a better candidate there. I think that Chris Tanev has had a great season. Sean Monahan, maybe next year. Maybe next year Sean Monahan gets this nomination, because he too has sacrificed his body, and what he is often playing through pain. I'm aggravated still about that. Oh my God. But anyways, that is enough of the Masterson nominees. I think, it really does come down to Carey Price for me. I think Carey Price, Kevin Hayes, and Vlad Tarasenko are going to be some of the highest voters. Jack Eichel, what did Jack Eichel do other than collect a $10 million check? Nothing. Oh, and he got neck surgery and then came back. Okay, maybe that is kind of a big deal, because it was like a quote-unquote risky surgery. But anyways, we're going to wrap up the show with a weekend wrap-up and a preview of this week. And in order to do that, we're going to talk about Built Bar. Built Bar is a delicious tasting protein bar that is easily there to replace your candy bars. They are high in fiber, high in protein, low in calories and carbs. And compare that to a candy bar, it's about half of everything in there, and even more so of the sugars. There's about 4 grams of sugar in a Built Bar. There's about 30 grams of sugar in candy bars. Built Puffs are also really delicious. They're the first ever protein-infused marshmallows. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar, they are a treat, and they are covered in a 100% chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite in that and they come in amazing different flavors such as banana cream pie, churro, coconut marshmallow, So good. These are going to be some of your new favorites as well. You can always count on good old, old Reliable for the variety flavors in Built Bar. And this month they have white chocolate cookies and cream, and they are delicious. And you should head on over to built.com and use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off of your next order. Promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Oh boy. So this is very funny. Not funny. It's funny is not the right word. I don't understand how time moves so fast, because it really does feel like just yesterday I was previewing last season in the bubble, their first game against Winnipeg, right? And now here we are approaching the 2022 Stanley Cup playoffs. And this summer, we're going to have something to talk about, and it's not going to be me pulling things out of my butt for 3 whole months. But the Flames played their last regular season at home on Saturday against the Canucks. Unbelievable. It was a 6-3 win. Vladar ended up playing. Markstrom got to rest while Dustin Wolf was backup goalie. I have seen some people suggest that Dustin Wolf close out the season for the Flames. And I don't know if you do that to him. I don't know if now is the right time to do that. I don't know. Especially with teams like Nashville, who I don't believe they've clinched a playoff spot yet. Like, they're in a wild card position, right? So why would you do that? Why would you basically give them a potential freebie? I don't like that idea. But I think that the game against Nashville is going to have big playoff vibes. That could be a first round matchup for the Flames. And Nashville's hungry. They are a hockey city. They've got Roman Josi, UC Saros. I couldn't talk. I almost said Valimaki. No. Matt Duchene, who is like a 40 goal scorer this season, and I'm upset about it. Philip Forsberg, who I would do anything to get him on my team. I think he is fantastic. There's a lot to be excited for about playing the Predators. And then, the next game, you've got Minnesota, and then you are in Winnipeg. So I think that this could be fun. I think that, the games are going to have players resting. I think it makes more sense for Daryl Sutter to rest some of the bigger players and call up some guys from Stockton, because we saw Alex Ovechkin and Taylor Hall get hurt this weekend, and you want to avoid things like that. And I'm not going to speak about it or elaborate any further, because we're just going to move on. But Vegas still isn't out of playoff contention yet. Last night, San Jose really slaughtered their chances. But as far as I'm concerned, I believe they're still in contention by a thread. But everybody will send their thank you cards to the Sharks this offseason, between terminating Evander Kane's contract as well as helping eliminate the Golden Knights. But I think that this is just like the final stretch. The playoffs literally start a week from today, right? How could you not be excited about that? I think that there are so many great things to look forward to with this team in the playoffs. It's clear the offense is clicking, and we're going to do a playoff preview probably Thursday or Friday's episode. But we've got so much to talk about, you guys, and I am more than happy to be here for you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to chit-chat with you about the Calgary Flames. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Maybe download it so I can afford a nice haircut, because what is going on with these bangs? And yeah, be nice and leave a nice little review.